Ladies and gentlemen, some of you are about to marry the wrong man or woman. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm going to tell you why this might be so for you and how to cope with it. Assalamu alaikum. If you are new here, my name is Hannah. I am a trauma coach for Muslim women, and this is my YouTube channel. Please give it a subscribe if you are interested in all things God-conscious healing and self-improvement. Now, this video is inspired by a potential client that I met the other day. I got on this call. She was interested in joining my trauma group coaching program. By the way, if you're interested in a program like that, link is in the description to get more information and apply. And I start off with a similar question for anyone who is on the first discovery call, which is what brought you to this moment of seeking coaching. Now, this was a young lady who was in her university years. She was, mashallah, tabarakallah, on her way to memorizing the entire Quran. She was someone who was extremely faithful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so you'd wonder, what is it that has her in such great distress? What is the core of her trauma that she's experiencing, leading her to actually be willing to reach out to me and inshallah work with me? Come to find out, there was a boy involved. And the story goes like many stories that I've heard, stories I've heard from other clients, stories that I've heard in my DMs. This girl ends up liking this boy ends up liking this girl, but he is hot and cold with her. He won't bring this up to her parents, but it goes even deeper than that. There were several instances where he did some pretty obviously manipulative things to her. And as a result of all of the chaos of this pseudo relationship that was being built, she found that her self-esteem was crushed. Her self-concept was being broken. Her faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was being tested. Her self-worth was being challenged. So now she found herself this incredible Muslimah who is extremely righteous, who by all intents and purposes is someone who has a lot of incredible qualities. She's finding herself questioning, how do I get this person to love me? So on this discovery call, we're supposed to be talking about the way that inshallah this coaching program will serve her. But I found myself actually helping her to challenge some of these notions as to why is it that despite everything that you know, despite the fact that you know very well that what this person did is wrong, despite the fact that it's very clear that he is not that serious, despite the fact that he was hiding you from his parents, that he was doing things that he knew was going to hurt you, you are willing to put yourself in a situation where you may end up marrying this man, when the only other side of this, by all of the evidence of what he's already shown you, is that those behaviors will continue, but they will be even more detrimental to you because now you are married. Now there is a stigma if you end up getting divorced because of this. Now there's the extra pain of you had to be emotionally and physically intimate with this person, but you're still willing to continue with that. A hard question, I'm sure, for anyone to answer, but the answer was pretty straightforward. The reason you are willing to accept so little from someone just so you can feel loved by them is because you haven't yet learned to love yourself. Now, people will often say that, and you'll hear this, you have to love yourself first, but it's like, what does that actually mean practically? You don't love yourself enough to protect yourself from, first and foremost, haram. There are certain boundaries that were clearly overstepped that needed to be maintained. You don't love yourself enough to challenge what you are worth accepting. You don't yet love yourself enough to dig into your past and figure out what exactly is triggering you to need love so badly from someone who is willing to mistreat you. Now, underlying, we found out that there were issues when it came to her childhood. She had childhood trauma, and specifically a fractured relationship with her parents and her father. Now, introduce attachment theory. I'm not going to get too much into it, but a very brief overlook. Attachment theory is a theory that is extremely well-founded. It is probably one of the most evidence-based theories in all of psychology, where it basically states that the relationship we have with our caregivers, via our mothers, our fathers, or those who took care of us, can end up affects the way we connect to other people and the way we build relationships in the future, and it reverberates through our lifetime. Meaning, if you're someone who had a very distant, disconnected, unsafe, broken relationship with your mother or your father, because that is such an important, intimate relationship, or any human being, it's the first relationship we ever have, that those wounds, those attachment wounds, will end up following us throughout life, because that is a way we learn to connect with people. So our brain operates off of patterns, and so those same patterns end up following through. Now, that doesn't have to be our story, because when we're willing to do the work, the attachment work, to identify where those wounds come from and actually resolve them, we can have healthy, fulfilling relationships. But until we're willing to do the ugly, uncomfortable work of healing those attachment wounds, we'll find ourselves in situations close to or similar to what our sister found herself in. And again, she's not the only one. It's just one of the many, many stories that I've heard. So here is what I have to say to you guys who are watching this. You're going to end up marrying the wrong man or woman. And sometimes what underlies that decision, because at the end it is a choice that we make, even though there are a lot of influences in the choice, and there's a lot of empathy we can have for ourselves in our decision making, it still is a choice. And part of that also reflects the tawakkul issue. Because if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed us to peek into the future and He allowed us to see this incredible future husband or this incredible future wife who is so caring and compassionate, who is loving, who puts in effort for the relationship, who makes us feel seen and heard, who respects us, who honors us, who is righteous and connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is an incredible parent to our children. If we could see that in front of us, chances are we would be very unwilling to accept anything less than incredible treatment from the men or women who claim to have interest in us, aren't actually serious. And while we can't guarantee a future outcome such as the one that I referenced, what we can guarantee is that when we put in the effort and we align ourselves with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants for us, and we do the trauma healing work, the attachment healing work, we break the trauma bonds that we have with people who are harmful to us, who are not committed to us, who make us feel unsafe and insecure, then at the very least, the empowerment, the self-esteem, the safety in our brain and bodies, the connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have are all optimized. And that allows us to be in a place where we're able to actually be better future husbands or wives to the people who are good for us. That allows us to be more intentional about what kind of individuals we'll even entertain for the thought of marriage. It allows us to be very clear on what we will accept and what we will not accept. And when we see something that we would not have accepted, to close the door, because we're not there bargaining our self-worth, because we're not there thinking because my father didn't love me and this is all happening subconsciously, or my mother didn't love me, at least anyone who shows us attention, all of a sudden we are falling apart at the seams. It allows us to recognize, yes, I may have had a broken relationship with people that were supposed to treat me better and honor me better. Yes, my rights weren't fulfilled, but I am going to make the decision that that's not going to be my story, and that's not going to be what I allow to affect who I choose for my future. And again, understanding the problem allows us to understand the solution. If we understand that what we have, what is leading us to accept less than better treatment, what is leading us to fall in love with anyone who shows us even the smallest amount of kindness is actually an attachment issue, usually rooted in childhood trauma, then we can reverse engineer that and say, okay, the attachment issue happened here. How can I do some inner child healing to make sure that this attachment issue gets resolved? By the way, I have a video on my channel all about inner child healing. Inshallah, I'll try to remember to link it, but if I don't, just look up inner child healing on my channel. And when we do that kind of work, we're also working on our generational trauma. We are cutting off this broken attachment that we had and ensuring we're doing the work so we can teach those healthy attachments to our future children, inshallah. I also have a video on generational trauma. You can look that up on my channel as well. Either way, you guys, this is a very important point of awareness that we have to build. If you made it to the end and you are a Muslim woman who is looking to really take on the work around her trauma, then please go to the link in my description and consider applying for my trauma group coaching program. But before you do that, if you are watching this in June, I want to let you know that I have recently launched my digital community, the Seeking Wholeness digital community, where you are able to go on your healing journey alongside incredible women from all across the world. You'll get to experience trauma coaching with me in this community and gather resources and really do some intentional healing work, whether it's around attachment issues, childhood trauma, or anything else you might need to work on for your healing journey. The link is in the description. If you sign up in June, you get a free lifetime membership. If you're watching this after June, then don't you worry, because it is still an incredible value for what you get. Truly, and I do not exaggerate when I say easily, this digital community is worth $500 to $1,000 a month for what you get in there. So don't delay. Go to the link in the description and please like this video and subscribe for more. Assalamu alaikum.